granddad's great-granddaughters. I got the honor of meeting my great-grandfather for the first time in June 2012. I had just graduated from college from getting my bachelor's and had flown down to Florida to visit family. Ironically, he had been visiting as well. I was absolutely mesmerized by him. First off, I couldn't get over how good he looked for his age. He honestly looked younger than some of his own children. And his hair was jet black. Like, it took a while for me to realize that granddad was dyeing his hair. I was like, oh my God, like, he has all his hair's not gray. Like, his skin is glistening. Like, he looked great. Soon enough, I discovered the secret to this fountain of youth he had access to. For starters, Granddad was very particular about the food that he would consume. When I met him, he basically was a pescatarian. He swore off pork, never wanted to touch that. Red meat, never really wanted to touch that. And he would always say to me, I only eat fish with the scales on it. Because he knew I loved seafood, and he would always give me these Bible scriptures about them being the scavengers of the sea and them not being that good for you. And so he always had a joke about, you know, my health and being like reminding me to be particular about what I was putting in my body. And his skin, you know, I'm a cosmetic junkie, but Granddad used olive oil to moisturize his skin. Like, I'm like, I could just go in the kitchen and get some of that. Lotion. I mean, he looked great. I could do that too, you know. But I think one of the things that kept my grandfather so youthful was the fact that he laughed through life. He was always happy, like always in a good mood. I can't recall a time I've ever seen him upset. He didn't need a reason to be happy, he just was. And that was enough for him. So over the course of the next 3 years, he and I would keep in contact over the phone because I'm in New York at the time, he was in St. Louis. And there was really no middleman. My grandmother, Margaret, gave me his phone number, and from there I took it and ran with it. And we cultivated a relationship, just he and I, on our own terms over the course of the next 3 years. And finally, in 2015, I flew out to St. Louis to visit him for a couple of days. And, you know, I got to stay with him at home. And I remember calling him to let him know that I was at the airport, and he was trying to pick me up. I'm like, at 96 years old, you're not getting on the highway to pick me up. And so we arranged a cab to come and pick me up, because I wasn't too comfortable about that. And so I pulled up in the cab, and there he was on his porch waiting for me to come out. And over the next 4 or 5 days, I stayed with him, and there I got to meet all of the things and the people that meant the most to him. The first stop was his shop. He was all about his car shop. And so we drove locally. Everyone in the town knew him. Police department, everybody knew him. So they allowed him to drive in the town, but not the highway. So he drove me to his shop. You know, he introduced me to all of the guys that worked there. He drove me to his church to show me where he would praise and worship. And he showed me around a few local places. And then he introduced me to the lovely Miss Lucille Mitchell. And she was just so amazing, so loving, so accommodating. They had a very unique relationship that I admired very much. And yeah. It was really beautiful, and I'm just so grateful that I got the opportunity to really cultivate my own personal relationship with him. And even if I never got to tell him in recent times that I love him, I know that he knows because we built something together. The night that he passed away, I found out like maybe 2 days later I had a dream. And in the dream I had lost a lot of personal family members to me, and I was so sad, and I was crying, and I told my friend about the dream, and she said, what do you think that means? I was like, I don't know, but it's got to be something devastating, and then I found out that he died. But I'm just grateful that I took the time to initiate that relationship with him, and he welcomed me with open arms. He was literally one of the most joyful and happy people I've ever met. And he always encouraged me to make sure I had my own, to never have to depend on anybody, and to have God in my life. Those are the things he always taught me. So yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit of like what he meant to me.